This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Draft zone.
Who else could it be but me, your me, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series, where I aim to break down all 32 teams in the National Football League's 2015 NFL Draft. And by doing so, we use our baseball grading scale: single, double, triple, home run. There are no strikeouts here in the Draft Wrap-Up Series, as we cannot tell how these players will pan out. Don't want to discount any of these players before they get their chance in the National Football League. We get a grade by using the baseball grading scale to get a score for each and every single individual pick made by said team. We tally up those picks, get an aggregate score, divide by the number of picks, and that is how we come to our final grade. Give that grade out to that team, move on to the next team. In the process, picked by you, the viewers at home. Simply be the first to leave a comment in the comment section with two simple phrases. The phrase next, the word next, and the team you would like to see. I don't care if you use the first name, the last name, a nickname, whatever. Long as that's in the comment along with the phrase next, I could care less how you word it. That team will be up next in the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series. Now again, you gotta be first. No equivocations whatsoever. You have got to be the absolute first to leave that comment in the comment section with the two requirements necessary to have that team be up next on the process. Look, let's all the particulars out of the way. Let's get to the draft of the Bears, as they were up next in the process, picked by you, the viewers. And so let's talk about the Bears, man. This is a hell of a draft. It's short, it's to the point. You know how I like my short and to the point drafts. And that's what the Bears put forth. First draft under new general manager, first draft with new head coach. So this is a different flavor. New defense, new everything except Jay Cutler. But that's for another day. I digress. Let's get to the 2015 NFL Draft of the Chicago Bears. You start in the first round, 7th overall selection, wide receiver out of West Virginia, Kevin White. Oh my goodness. This was my favorite player in the entire 2015 NFL Draft. So you know I thought he was the best receiver in the draft. Look, you got rid of Brandon Marshall, and rightfully so. He was due a lot of money, getting up there in age. It was time for him and Jay Cutler to be split up. Cutler thought that when he was in trouble, when in doubt, just throw it to B. Marsh. That's cool and that's cute, but again, trouble happens when you force the football. Time to take that blankie away from Jay Cutler and insert a new beast in the Chicago, Chi-Town area. And so to me, this guy plays with a level of physicality and fearlessness and an edge, borderline personal foul penalty edge, but nonetheless an edge that you gotta respect. And this guy's a monster. He's a big guy, gives you speed, height, weight, speed specimen. I'm not breaking him down. I've already done that in the 101 series, so if you're looking for that, check my 101 prospects breakdown on Kevin White. But you know what this is. You already knew what this was. In the first round, 7th overall selection, wide receiver out of West Virginia, Chicago Bears. Hit hard. It's hit deep. Out of here. All right. You can put it on the board. Yeah. It's a home run for the Chicago Bears in the first round, man. So, Bears get a compliment to Alshon Jeffrey. Never, ever trust a man with two first names. Hey, look, The combination is still lethal in Chicago. Let's see if they can't do some other things. And we'll talk about a little compliment to Matt Forte a little later on in the draft as well. So let's move on though. I talked about a different head coach. You got a new offensive and defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio now going to be your new defensive coordinator, bringing in the 3-4 defensive scheme. What do you need? You need a nose tackle. And in the second round, 39th overall selection, defensive tackle out of Florida State, Eddie Goldman is the selection for the Bears. To me, another big time get for the Bears in their draft early on in the process. You handle one need, you get rid of Brandon Marshall, you bring in another big physical beast receiver to take his place. You switch defenses from a 4-3 base to a 3-4 base. A lot of times when you make that switch, you don't have the necessary parts. I've been a part of a switch as a fan, watching my team make that switch. It's tough. That conversion is tough to make the first year or two. You don't have all the requisite pieces necessary to make it work, but the Bears are going about it the right way. To me, you start within. You start in the very center of your defense and fan your way out. You can find corners, you can find safeties. Yeah, Bears have looked for safeties for a long time. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. But it's hard to find that guy in the middle. That's what's going to drive the engine in a 3-4 defense. Having a physical presence and a movable object in the middle of your defense is going to go a long way in having your 3-4 defense be effective. Bears look to handle that with their first selection of the second round. And so to me, this is another deep shot. You can put it on the board. Yes, it's another home run for the Chicago Bears. Back-to-back jacks for the Bears. They're handling business early on in this draft. I've already broken Eddie Goldman down. If you did not know this, check out the Draft 101 Prospects series. Have broken down both Kevin White and Eddie Goldman in that series, so check it out. Not going to do it here, but again, Bears handling some business. This is a guy that I thought was a first-round selection right here. Eddie Goldman, to me, had first-round talent. After Malcolm Brown, after Danny Shelton, to me, he was the next best thing at defensive tackle. Bears get themselves a really good football player with a first-round grade in my estimation in the second round. To me, excellent value in the first 2 rounds for the Chicago Bears. So you move on to the third round. 71st overall selection, center out of Oregon, Hronis Grasu. This sounds like some kind of ancient Polynesian artist, Hronis Grasu. But no, we're not talking art, we're not talking Polynesian barbecue sauce. We're talking about a big offensive lineman out of Oregon. Now, no more Roberto Garza, long-time focal point and centerpiece of this Bears offensive line. Bears cut ties with him in the offseason. You know how it goes. New regime, new head coach, new coaching staff. Everybody's got to go. And you know how it is, a lot of turnover generally speaking. When you get new guys in, they don't have ties to anybody that's left. So anything goes, all bets are off. Roberto Garza gone in the offseason. So, hey, Will Montgomery, a guy you signed, not the answer at center. Let me be the first to tell you, as a Redskins fan, Will Montgomery being an ex-Redskin, he's not the long-term answer. But Hronis Grasu could exactly be that for you. In the third round, let's talk about his pros. This is a smart football player. That's the first place I start. I love the beauty of centers is you don't have to be a role grader. You don't have to be the most physical or, you know, the most athletically gifted guy as a center. But you do have to be smart. To me, that is a prerequisite of a center because it's your duty to point out blitzers and set the protection and make sure that you're on the same page, which takes me to my next pro. He's a communicator. On tape, you can see him pointing and calling out the protections and the blitzes, but not only that, he's communicating to his teammates, hey, I got you on this one. I'll be here for your help to the inside. If he goes outside, I'm going over here and I'm going to help the other guard to my left. And you can see that kind of communication, that dynamic going on. And to me, that's one of the most important parts of being a center is having great communication, because if you go and help a guy that doesn't need help, You could leave a gaping hole for a blitzer to come straight up the A-gap. You know the worst type of pressure in the National Football League is the one that comes straight up the middle in your face. And so to have that kind of communication, to make sure there are no breakdowns in the middle of your offensive line is a big deal. And to me, he's a smart football player that communicates with the rest of the offensive line so that they're in the right protection and they don't have as many breakdowns. Clean snaps. To me, that's one of the things that goes unspoken a lot of times. It's just a given. You're a center. You're supposed to have clean snaps. That's not always the case. But in his case, clean snaps, watched a number of tapes, at least 6. I didn't see any faulty snaps. And you know, Oregon, they live in the spread. A lot of shotgun snaps, a lot of pistol snaps. So a lot of footballs being snapped, not directly under center. So again, clean snaps. And the next thing he does great is he gets from his snap to his set very quickly. So again, quick snap to set, that's huge for a center because you got to get your head up. And in the National Football League, there are some beasts at defensive tackle, more so than you will see at the collegiate level. Got to be able to get from snap to set quickly and be able to anchor down and set that protection in that pocket for your quarterback. Stout at the point of attack. This was the most impressive thing that I saw from Hroniss Grasu because I looked at his weight, 297, and I'm saying, that's a little light in the pants, my man. And I said, let me see. So I put on a number of tapes. I put the Ohio State tape on, put the Florida State tape on. His teammate, Eddie Goldman, he stuffed him right at the line of scrimmage. So even though Eddie didn't give up any ground, didn't allow him to push him backwards, Eddie didn't collapse that pocket on Hroniss Grasu either. So it was a stalemate between the two guys that will ultimately be teammates in Chicago. Put on more tapes. And the one that I said, I gotta see Washington, I gotta see Danny Shelton. I wanted to see if Danny Shelton was gonna collapse that pocket on good old Hroniss Grasu because to me, at 297, you're talking about Danny Shelton probably about 350, 355. I wanted to see if he was going to take him and power drive him into the lap of the quarterback and really make life hard for their quarterback. And that wasn't the case. Marcus Mariota had ample time to get rid of the football. Hroniss Grasu was on his game, and Danny Shelton wasn't a problem. He handled Danny Shelton like he was a 280-pound defensive tackle. So that was impressive to me. That was the thing that stood out for me. 297. Holding his ground the way he did. He wasn't giving any ground. It's not like, you know, Danny was getting the best of him, but he was able to anchor down at the last second. I mean, it was snap the ball, get my head up, get my hands up, and hold my ground. And he held his weight well. I was impressed. I was like, whoa, okay. That kind of changed my whole mindset on the whole. Maybe he's a little light in the pants. That's not a problem here. He held his ground, stopped at the point of attack. He can get to the second level now. I will admit this. I thought he was going to be a little bit more athletic. Looks like he got a little bit of lead in his feet somewhere, and he's not a slow guy by any stretch of the imagination. He can get to the second level, just as I mentioned. And he pulled a couple of times, got out there, can be a lead blocker if need be. But I just thought to myself, Chip Kelly, you know, offensive lineman, agile, mobile, hostile, that type of thing. I was expecting him to be mean. I was expecting him to be fast. I was expecting him to be all of these things, and I really didn't get that. But he did his job, and that's all I care about. At the end of the day, I don't really care about any of that other stuff. I just want you to do your job and do it well. And Hroniss Grasu does that, so I don't have any complaints. Do you? I didn't think so. We go to his next pro. He seals. This is a guy that snapped the football, get a couple yards up the field, and boom, sealed it off. Give that running back a clear lane to run the football up. And so I love the way that he seals. There was a time when he pulled, got to the outside, and then sealed. There was another time they ran a stretch play. He was able to stick that arm out, extend, get his hands on that defensive lineman, and then turn and seal. Boom! And stop him from getting into the play. So he's athletic enough to seal off the edge and set that edge for the running back and allow him to get the corner. There are a lot of things that he does well, and one of them is sealing off the defender away from the ball carrier on the play. Few mistakes. I didn't see one false start penalty, no missed snaps, none of that. No holding penalties, no hands to the face, none of that. This guy was clean the entire time I watched him. And so that is something, again, I expect a lot out of the center if you can't already tell. As a center, you know, we talk about the tackle position. That's the glamour position on the offensive line. The guards don't get enough credit. The center, nobody even talks about the center. And you leave it up to most teams, they'll try to get a center in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. They don't care about the center position, not like they do the tackle. They value the tackle position heavily. Don't forget about the center. To me, that's the centerpiece. And they call him the center for a reason, not because he's just in the middle, but he's the centerpiece of that offensive line. As he goes, so goes the rest of that offensive line. This guy is very impressive, and he makes few mistakes. The least mistakes that he makes, the better it bodes for the rest of this offensive line. So very impressed with him not making a lot of mistakes. He's very durable. He had 50 consecutive starts until he had an ankle injury late in the season, sidelined him. He missed the final 3 games of the regular season, was back in action for the college playoffs. It was able to play against Ohio State and Alabama. So in that sense, he is a guy that I fully expect to be healthy and a guy you can count on week in and week out, much like Roberto Garza was for you over the last decade and some change. This is a guy that you have come in and you feel like, man, we got ourselves a big-time football player for the next decade or so. This is that type of player. I really look at him and I say to myself, this is a really good football player you got in the 3rd round out of Oregon. Let's talk about his cons. And really, they're not problems and deficiencies as much as they are just questions that I have. And really, they're not even big ones. I mean, is he a finisher? I didn't see him finish blocks on tape. And it wasn't a problem because at Oregon, you don't have to be a finisher as a blocker. Ball is coming out quickly. Guys aren't really getting into the play. So whether you finish off a blocker or a defender or not, it really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Ball's getting to the outside quickly. Ball's getting up the field quickly. Even if it's a running play, if you're not a finisher, you're not a finisher. He got in the way. Guys weren't impacting the play, but I didn't see him finish blocks. A lot of times he would push a guy away, and that was that, you know. Mean streak. I talked about not seeing the whole agile, hostile, mobile thing going on. There's no mean streak here. He's a nice, I mean, his name speaks for itself. Horonis Grasu. It sounds like a friendly guy. I mean, that he is. He doesn't seem like a guy that's going to get in your face, pancake you, put a little bit of syrup on top. None of that good stuff, man. He's just out there having a good time, blocking guys, getting in the way, doing his job. I don't have a problem with that. I'd always, you know, like to see a mean streak now and then, but I didn't see it. But who cares as long as he's doing his job, right? Right. And this is another question. I don't really know if this is a question or not. Athletic enough to seal at the next level. I talked about him sealing at the collegiate level. Can he get to that reach block and seal off that backside defender? Can he get to that block on the outside when he's pulling and reach that linebacker before that linebacker is able to get outside and turn and run back inside? Can he get to that block and seal that guy off? I think so, but only time will tell. There's a lot to like here in the 3rd round. Horonis Grasu, center out of Oregon, for me is a triple. He's going to come in, replace Roberto Garza. You're not going to miss a beat, and this guy could be your center for the next decade or so. He's got that kind of ability and the qualities that you look for in a center. Another strong pick by the Chicago Bears and their new brass in the 2015 NFL Draft. You go to the 4th round, 106th overall selection, running back out of Michigan State, Jeremy Langford is the selection. I got a question for you Bear fans. Is this pick right here, and again, keep in mind, new regime, okay? You've got a new general manager, you've got, in Ryan Pace, you've got a new head coach in John Fox, new offensive and defensive coordinator. So my question to you is this draft pick in the 4th round of running back out of Michigan State, Jeremy Langford, is this an indictment on the running back that you selected last year out of Arizona and Kadeem Carey? Or is this just a simple situation where you're like, hey, we want another back to come in. Forte's getting up there in age. In a couple of years, we're going to push Forte out of the door. Jeremy Langford is going to be our new feature back, and Kadeem Carey is only a backup in this league. Could that be the question? Or you're just saying, we really don't want Kadeem Carey touching the football at all. This is the guy that we want in the backup role in Chicago. I just find it funny that you drafted a running back last year to be the backup. Now you're drafting another running back. I'm very intrigued as to what that means for Kadeem Carey, because this guy's going to be the backup right here. Let's talk about Jeremy Langford and why he was the 4th round selection of this new regime in Chicago. Good size, 6 foot, 208 pounds. Gives him a nice balance of power and speed, which is his next pro. Great combination of speed and power. This is a 4.42 40 back, so the guy can fly. He can pick him up and put him down, but you also see a forward lean when he's running. You see a guy that will lower the shoulder and get all the yards that are there. He's not afraid of contact. So there's a nice balance of power and speed. And I got a nice surprise when I turned on the tape, because for some reason in my mind, I envisioned him as a power back. And maybe it's just the whole Michigan State thing. They have a lot of bigger backs that come out of that program. And so in my mind, for some reason, I wanted Jeremy Langford to be a big bruising back that didn't have a lot of speed. I turned on the tape and this is a 4.4 240 guy, and he's flying and he's picking them up, putting them down. And I said, man, I was wrong. And the Big Ten, and you hear people say this all the time about the surplus of backs in the Big Ten this past year. Man, where there's some good backs. You got Abdullah from Nebraska. You got the Wisconsin kid that was drafted by the Chargers. You got Tevin Coleman from Indiana. You got David Cobb from Minnesota. The list goes on and on. Langford from Michigan State. My goodness, the Big Ten was loaded at the running back position, and he just kind of fell between the cracks. You looked at all these other big names, Melvin Gordon, the second, and you looked around, and what happened to Jeremy Langford? He got lost in the sauce. Let's talk about it. Purposeful stiff arm. That's the next pro. That's the next quality. You know how I feel about a good quality stiff arm. That's a lost art in the National Football League. Running backs don't use the stiff arm as much and as good as they used to. Guys stick it out there, but they don't mean to use it when it's just a deterrent. Like, get off me, don't tackle me, leave me alone. No, I want you to actually stick it. Get your ass off of me, man. I want you to actually put the stiff arm out there with intentions of knocking a guy back and picking up 7 extra yards on the run. I want you to embarrass somebody with your stiff arm. Like LT used to do. Guys don't use the stiff arm as an actual means of picking up extra yardage. It's just more of a deterrent. Oh, stay away, get off me. No, don't tackle me. No, put the stiff arm out there like you mean it. Hit him with your chest, man. Show him with your chest. And that's what this guy does. He puts the stiff arm out there with evil intentions of knocking a guy back, knocking him down on the ground, and getting more yardage after contact. Really like his stiff arm, and it's very purposeful. Can catch the rock. This is a guy, they actually lined this dude up in the slot a couple of times. He ran some routes, caught the ball. I said, okay, this guy can catch the rock out of the backfield. The numbers don't bear it out. They didn't throw him the football that often. He only had 11 catches last year. His high at Michigan State was 26 catches 2 seasons ago. He didn't catch the football a lot, but when they did throw it to him, he could catch the football. That was impressive to me, and I think that's something that you can build upon at the next level. You can throw this guy the football. I think this is a guy that can be a 3rd down back. And Matt Forte is probably one of the most complete backs in the league, so I don't know if you want to take Matt Forte off the field on 3rd downs necessarily, but when you have Forte sit down for a series, this guy can do it all. You don't have to take him out of the game and put somebody else in on 3rd downs. This guy can do it all. Speaking of 3rd downs, let's go to the next pro. Awesome pass pro. You know, young guys usually come in the league and they struggle with pass pro. That's why they can't get in the game right away. Jeremy Langford, hey, I was impressed with him. He stuck his, it wasn't one time that I said, okay, you missed an assignment there, or the guy blew you up, you didn't do your job adequately enough, and you cost your quarterback to make a bad throw or get sacked. I didn't see that at all on tape. He was willing, he was able, and he stuck his nose in there, and he protected his quarterback at all costs. That's what I want to see from my young rookie back coming into the league, and this guy showed me that time and time again at Michigan State, protecting Connor Cook. Blitz coming, he was ready. Come on, man, bring it. Guy coming from the other side, he run over there, pick him up, throw his body on the line, and get that guy out of the way. I was very impressed with his pass pro. It was awesome. It was awesome. Nimble feet. This guy's feet are pretty good. And again, he's not a small back, but he's not a big back. He's not a huge back, but his feet are very nimble. Defenders around, he'll change directions real quick. And this is his favorite move. Little shake out in space. He ain't gonna probably make anybody miss with it, but it's always nice when you got a little bit of wiggle in the hips. And so he's got nimble feet, can pick them up, put them down, switch directions very quickly. Couple of spin moves he'll sprinkle in there from time to time. So this is a guy to me, if the play is blocked for 4, he can get you 6. He'll make somebody miss. He's got nimble feet in the hole. When he's outside, he'll try to do some things, not usually successful, but again, I like his feet. They're very nimble. They get him out of trouble a lot of times in tight quarters. And that's what good feet can do for you. Huge 2-year production is his last pro. And you ask yourself, only 2 years of production? Sure. Think about it. Think for a second. 2 years ago, who was at Michigan State? I'm gonna give you a second. Jeopardy. If your answer is, who is Le'Veon Bell? You are correct. So you gotta think to yourself, Le'Veon Bell, powerhouse, big time back at Michigan State. He was getting all the work. He was their bell cow. He was sucking up all the carries. So Jeremy Langford had to wait his turn. Soon as Le'Veon Bell exited stage left to the NFL, guess who took over the reins? Jeremy Langford. Big time season 2 years ago with over 1,400 yards and about 15 touchdowns. Followed that up last year with an even better season, over 1,500 yards rushing and 22 touchdowns rushing and another touchdown or 2 catching out of the backfield. So this guy was just dynamite at running back. Huge 2-year production at Michigan State. He is ready for the big time at the next level. You go to his cons. He's not devastating in open field. He's not a guy that I think is necessarily going to make you miss out of space. I talked about having a little bit of wiggle in the hips, talked about the nimble feet, but it's not enough to make you miss out in space. I was not that impressed with him in terms of changing directions and making the guy miss out in space. He'll split, and just like he did in 2013 against Ohio State in that Big Ten championship game. Don't forget, Ohio State could have been in 2 back-to-back national championship games if not for this Michigan State team 2 years ago in 2013 when they beat them in the Big Ten championship game. He was a huge reason why, over 100 yards against that Ohio State defense, and including the game-clinching touchdown at the very end. Split 2 defenders, broke a tackle, got into the end zone from about 22 yards out. So this is a guy that can make you miss, but I don't see it happening very often. And so to me, he's not devastating out of space. And his last con, he can be caught from behind. I just told you he's a 4'4", 240 guy, but it's deceptive speed. I think it's straight line speed, and I think he didn't play to that on Sundays, or in his case, Saturdays. Don't think he really plays to that speed necessarily because, and really to me, he's one of those, you know, look from behind guys. He's waiting for someone to catch him. You go turn on that Baylor tape from the championship game, or excuse me, from the bowl game, where they had that miraculous comeback down 20 points in the 4th quarter. He had a huge run early in that game, splits the seam right around midfield, 1 defender to beat, and he had him. He keeps looking behind him every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, he's looking behind him. That slows you down. Just run, young fella. Run, Jeremy. Run. Don't look back. Go, man. Much faster than slow. Turn the jets on. Don't look back. Let him eat your dust, man. Instead, he want to look back. Look back. That's slowing you down. Guy caught him at the 2-yard line, so, or 1-yard line. But in any event, he can be caught from behind, but there's some speed there. Don't fool yourself. This guy can run fast. I wish he'd just put his head down and just go. Don't worry about it. The guy gonna catch you, he's gonna catch you. You don't need to watch him catch you. Don't look back and watch him. Just go. But nonetheless, man, there's a lot to like here, man. Like I said, this guy got lost in the sauce. So many dynamic running backs in the Big Ten. You just forgot about this guy, but yet he was one of the most productive in the Big Ten. In the 4th round, 106th overall selection, running back out of Michigan State, Jeremy Langford for me is another triple. It's in the corner. Left fielders fumbling around with the ball over there. Jeremy Langford, stand-up triple in the corner. This guy to me is going to come in and be exactly what you wanted. The running back that you got from Oakland a couple of years ago in free agency that was a bust for you. He's going to be exactly what that guy was supposed to be for you. Except he was supposed to be a big bruising back, kind of a compliment to Forte's finesse. He was supposed to be the hammer. That's not what you're looking for. You're just looking for a guy to come in and be productive when Matt Forte isn't able to go and needs a blow. This guy can come in and be there for you. And my question to you, where does this leave Kadeem Carey? Is he just lost in all of this? We'll see. I really would like to know because you draft, and again, new administration. They had nothing to do with that draft pick. I didn't like Kadeem Carey. Obviously, they didn't either. You go on to the 5th round, 142nd pick overall, defensive back out of Penn State, Adrian Amos. Double A, as in the battery, as in Arn Anderson, double A. I like this dude. He's clean, man. Wipe yourself off. He's clean. And let me tell you what I said. The first time I laid eyes on this guy was at the Combine. Very impressive on that day was double A. Okay? This is what I had to say about double A when I saw him at the Combine. My exact words. And I quote, showed the ability to be a steal in the draft for a team. Closed quote. That's what I said. And I meant what I said. So I go to the tape and I go to his pros. Good size, starting out 6 feet, 218. That is exactly what I'm looking for. That is the modern day safety if I've ever seen it right there. The days of Sean Taylor, 6'2", 6'3", 225-pound safeties, those days are over. You're not going to find those guys anymore. And if you do, they're going to be deficient somewhere. They're not going to be good in space. They're only going to be good around the line of scrimmage. They're going to be a liability in coverage. Something's wrong. There's some type of defect there. When you get these 6-foot guys that are right around 215, 220 pounds, these are those, and this is the next pro, these are those interchangeable safeties that I always speak of. You gotta be able to do both nowadays. You can't just be an in-the-box safety. You can't just be a guy that plays 25 yards off the football. You gotta be able to do a little bit of both. At Penn State, they had him playing rover a little bit. That means at linebacker, essentially, right around the line of scrimmage, being nosy. They had this guy blitzing a lot around the line of scrimmage. He was able to make tackles around the line of scrimmage, but he also had the ability to do his next pro, drop over the slot. There was one play, I was so impressed, because you know how I am. I want my corners, safeties, whoever, get in the face. I mean, I want him in the face of the defender. He got in the face of this dude, put his hand, I mean, he squatted in his face like, he could smell his breath. It was like, nasty in his face, that close. Then he put hands on him too. I was like, whoa, are you a corner or a safety, young fella? Let me know. That was some real corner-like ability and movement, and he was doing that to a slot guy, a little shifty dude too. Laid hands on him, blessed that young fella. Redirected him all over the place. Quarterback side now. We'll go to my next read. He ain't open. So that was impressive to me. He could drop over the slot. So that's that interchangeability that I'm talking about. The ability to drop down over the slot, play some coverage, play some zone, but also come around the line of scrimmage and sniff around and be a little nosy. This guy can do it both. He can do them all. Aggressive blitzer. He blitzed a lot on the tapes that I watched. He blitzed a heck of a lot. And I'm going to talk about his blitzing capabilities a little bit later on. But nonetheless, I was very impressed with the way he blitzed. He was coming in, blowing guys up, looking to get sacks. He controlled aggression. That's what I like. Come under control. Come aggressively. Come under control, because you know the quarterback, especially in college, most guys are athletic nowadays. You can't just run in there and think you're just going to get a guy down unless they don't see you. They see you coming, they're going to wait till you almost get there, then they're going to get outside the pocket on you, change directions. You coming at full speed, hard to put the brakes on and redirect and go after the quarterback. So come under control, break down, be able to get to him, and he does that. So I like the way that he blitzes. He's a reliable tackler. He's a guy that comes in, and there were a couple of times my heart was pounding for this dude. And let's just lump these next two pros together. Reliable tackler and relaxed in space. This dude is cool, calm, and collected out in space. Chilling, man. Like, there was one play. Tevin Coleman, running back out of Indiana. Dude, I've talked about this guy with the electric speed. To me, the most fun I had on tape of any running back was Tevin Coleman, because you were always holding your breath. Every time he got a seam, every time there was a little bit of daylight, he was like, is this the one? And he's gonna pop for 78 yards and a touchdown, nobody's gonna be able to catch him. Every run, you felt like he could make something happen. And there was a run, it was a run out of shotgun essentially, like a pistol handoff. And they give it to Tevin Coleman and he cuts it backside. And there is a gaping hole and it's just him in AA. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I open my eyes and Adrian Amos has wrapped his legs up and pulled him down. I said, you go, boy. I'm over here nervous, sweating bullets for AA. He said, man, I got this, man. This is what I do. I bring dudes down. He's physical, he makes sound tackles, he's comfortable in space. This guy's dropping in his own coverage. He's breaking up routes. He's picking off passes, had 3 interceptions last year. He's just relaxed in space, man. He's not a dude that panics very often. I didn't see a lot of panic. Ball in the air. There was one play on the 3rd and 17. I'm like, he's got a guy running a corner around him. And the receiver set it up nicely, bent to the inside to give him some leverage to the outside. And I said, uh-oh, Adrian, he might have you. Adrian was underneath on the play. And the quarterback didn't make a bad throw. I said, look for the football, look for the football. Adrian said, I got this, man, what I tell you, man. I'm cool, calm, and collected in space, dude. Relax, I got this. He turns around right as the ball comes. Boop, ski. No, you don't. Not on 3rd and 17. You won't be getting 18. No, you won't. And so, incomplete, punt the football. And I said, man, that's impressive. The dude is relaxed in space. Durability, 37 consecutive starts for the Nittany Lions at Penn State for AA. This is a kid that you can be assured will be on the field. And the Bears have been searching. They've been looking for help at safety for years. I don't know if they're gonna play this guy at safety or corner. Please put him at safety. You need help at safety. You've needed help for a year. When's the last good safety at? Mike Brown? I mean, what are we talking about here? Early 2000s, man, this guy is the answer you've been looking for. And he does a little bit of everything. Really like Adrian Amos and what he brings to the table. Let's go to his cons quickly. He blitzed a bunch, but rarely hit home. Remember I said I was gonna come back to his blitzing ability and talk about it? Now here's the thing. The reason why I don't think he hit home on his blitzes enough, and he didn't have any sacks last year. I think he had 1 or 2 the year prior and another one the year before that. So I think he ended up with 3 total in his career, but he blitzed enough to have about 7 or 8. But the problem is he tips his hand. He's not patient at all. So he'll come over the slot, and he'll be ready, like he get into his stance like he about to cover somebody man to man, and he's looking all crispy, got the shield on, I'm ready. And then right as the quarterback starts giving his cadence, he gets antsy and he wants to start tipping off his hand, showing that he's coming. Okay, quarterback now sees it, sets protection, tackles pointing and yelling, all right, blitz, you know, they shift the protection, and now somebody's accounting for him now. And so now it's not as easy as if you disguise it well, come off the edge. And look, it's all about timing it up beautifully. And that's what Troy Polamalu did for years. It wasn't that he was the greatest blitzer in the world. It was that he knew how to time it up, and it made it just, it was synchronized with the snap. Next thing you know, he's in your backfield before you even have a chance to get your 3rd step on your 3-step drop. He's already in your lap. And so it's all about timing. Adrian Amos gives it away too early. Result, he's picked up on the play, not even. But he still was in the backfield chasing down quarterbacks and making it tough on them, making them make throws before they wanted to. But he wasn't credited with sacks. And again, sometimes numbers can be misleading, but this is a guy that should be able to hit home more often because he is an aggressive blitzer that comes under control. He can get stuck on blocks sometimes. Some plays down the field, I'm like, fight him, AA, fight him, get off him, get him off him, get him off him. and he would just be stuck, man. He'd be stuck, luckily enough for him. Now, he's not allowing guys to move him out of the way and redirect him one side or the other to make it a clear path for the running back. He's standing his ground, but get him off of you, get into play, make a tackle. Sometimes he wasn't able to do that, but man, like I said, the first time I laid eyes on him at the combine, I made the statement, he's going to be a steal for some team in the draft. I saw the movement skills, saw the ball skills, saw everything that I needed to see, and I liked everything that I saw, and I felt like he was going to be a steal, and I think that's exactly what the Bears got in the 5th round. Adrian Amos is a triple. This guy, I think, is going to be the answer to the Bears' woes at the safety position. No more Craig Stelps. Those days are over. Tell Craig to sit his ass down. Whoever else you got out there, you don't need them out there anymore making an ass out of themselves. This guy's gonna come in. You drafted a young kid out of Minnesota last year. How about pairing the two of those guys up and seeing what they can do out there together? That sounds good to me. I don't know about you, that sounds good to me. Tired of the Bears having issues at safety. Remember that? You know what? I don't even need to drudge up old. Why are you bringing up old stuff? Why you don't even do that to y'all? Y'all don't even need that. That's not what we here for. Let's go on to the 6th round. 183rd overall selection. Offensive lineman out of TCU, Tayo Fabulajay. All right, Tayo Fabulajay is a big man. 6'7", and I think the actual card on him says about 353. That was before he got to his pro day. Pro day weight, combine weight was 353. Pro day weight was 322. So the guy cut some weight. He's got an interesting story. I gotta tell it to you so you can understand where he's coming from and what some of my concerns are. But let's drop a little bit of knowledge on you in terms of his pros. He's a big man, 6'7", 322 pounds. He's got limbs for arms and legs. He's got vines, I should say, for arms and legs. They're just long and they're never ending, and this is a big man. His massive frame allows him to anchor down beautifully. And there wasn't one single time I saw this guy on skates on the tape. He was able to hold his ground in front of the defender and not allow them to collapse the pocket. Again, when you're 300, and he was playing at 353, when you're 350 pounds, and this guy came all the way from 390, and I'm gonna tell you the story here in a second, but when you're at 353 pounds, it's hard to move that kind of mass. And so he's the guy that anchored down well at TCU. Mentally tough and perseverance is the next pro. Let's give you some background here. Let's give you the full story on who Tayo Fabulajay is, okay? Here's a guy that came from a home that was less than ideal. Father left him when he was 2 years old. Doesn't know who his dad is. Mom got busted for stealing and is in jail as we speak. So she wasn't around when he was a teenager. So he was basically left to fend for himself. Luckily enough for him, a family took him in, a guy that he went to high school with, very close with them. The family, they were Mormons. They took him in, gave him a place to stay, gave him a chance to live his life. Great. So he's got a fresh start on life. He decides, because they're Mormon, their son is going to BYU. I'm gonna go to BYU too, even though I'm not a Mormon. So he goes to BYU, enrolls in the school, is excited about the program. Head coach at the time, Bronco Mendenhall, is talking about all the things they want to do with this kid. He's so big, they've got plans for him. He doesn't feel like he fits in. He redshirts that first year and transfers to TCU. So, doesn't play football in 2009. Doesn't play football in 2010 because of the NCAA rules, or excuse me, doesn't play football in 2010 because he redshirted, transfers in 2011, has to sit out that season because of the NCAA transfer rules, isn't able to play until 2012, where he starts 12 out of 13 games for the TCU Horned Frogs, plays extremely well, sky's the limit, future looks bright for this kid, and then all of a sudden, his sister is living with him. Nobody knows. Coach doesn't know. You know, his family back home doesn't know. Sister is living with him because of the situation with moms and her being in jail and nobody to look after her. He's taking care of his sister. Things get so bad He's got to stop playing football in 2013. Doesn't play the entire 2013 season because of the situation with his sister. Guy's working 3 jobs to try to take care of his sister and get his mental focus back because he's starting to kind of slip in school. Things aren't working out. So he goes back to BYU, does some things there, goes back home, starts to get his life back on track, gets everything back in order. But in the process, this guy balloons from his playing weight of around 320 to 390 pounds. He's not in playing shape. He's not mentally where he needs to be to play football. At that point, he said, I thought my dreams of playing in the NFL were over. I had bigger things to worry about, bigger fish to fry. I thought my days of playing football were practically done at 390 pounds. He goes back to TCU, gets his mind right. Head coach gets him into shape, and they're able to get him back to a position where he is able to help this team out. And so he gets on the field last year and is able to help the Horned Frogs come within 1 game of the college football playoffs, and in effect made himself a draftable football player, all the way down from 390 to 353 pounds to now 322 pounds. It's a hell of a story. It shows mental toughness and perseverance, and it shows that this guy has the type of grit and determination that you look for, that you can't measure in, football measurements. You can't talk about his vertical. This isn't something you can measure in numbers. This is here. This is here. It's intestinal fortitude. This kid has a lot of it. He's a slab of clay though. I said all of that to say this. This kid is very wet behind the ears. Bruh, smelling like Similac. He's a slab of clay, okay? This guy doesn't know left from right. He doesn't know what the hell is going on, because there's a lot of things that he needs to have instilled in him on the football field. So if you're a head coach, you see this big, massive, mammoth man, and you say to yourself, with the right coaching, the right support system around this guy, right infrastructure, this kid could be a monster at the next level. Now, I do not know if he has the movement skills. You know what? Let's go to his cons, okay? Limited athleticism. He is athletically limited. Now, it's not fair. It's not fair for me to try to judge this kid, because I saw him at 360 basically, trying to keep up with guys with much more quickness and athleticism in front of him. And they were beating him to the inside. They were beating him around the corner sometimes. So it's not really fair. And I thought he actually held his own to the outside. It was the quick moves to the inside that just gave this guy fits. And so it's not fair for me to judge him, because I don't know what he looks like as a 322-pound athlete. I only know the 353-pound guy, okay? I didn't watch enough tape going back to 20 whatever when he was actually in shape. So my problem is I don't know this guy as a smaller football player. Maybe he's a little bit more agile. Maybe he's a little bit more nimble on his feet. I didn't see that. So I have questions. He looks like he's athletically limited. He's as raw as can be. He is as raw as he can be. I just said that. I said that when he's a slab of clay. That could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Good in the sense that you can mold this kid into the football player you want him to be. Bad in the sense that there's a lot that he has left to learn. And really, I don't think he's a tackle. And I think his most advantageous position at the next level is guard. And I think that's what the Bears are going to do, kick this guy inside the guard. I think he's going to be a handful at guard, where you don't have to worry about the inside moves as much because you got help from your good old buddy Oronis Grasu, who will be at center. And if he tries to go the other way, tackle can give him a little shoulder and you'll be fine that way. So I think he'll be just fine at guard. And so we'll see if that's what the Bears plan on doing with this kid. Weight issues. I just told you he ballooned up to 390 now. Granted, situation dictated that he wasn't athletically in shape. He wasn't working out. He had other things going on. Easy to get you out of your regimen and not working out at the gym. So 390 is a problem. Even though when he's playing football, it's not an issue. He's in shape and there's not a problem there, but you just never know. Anytime a guy can get that high, that's a problem. And so you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Not something you really want to focus in on, but store it in the memory bank. Put it back here. He was 390 at one point. My last question, and to me this is a really big question. What does football really mean to this kid? I mean, he's been through so much. He's got a younger sister that he wants to make sure is okay. What does football really mean to him? You can look at this two ways. It's a two-folded, two-sided question, okay? On one hand, you could say football means everything to this kid. This could be the opportunity for him to financially stabilize his situation, take care of his sister, make sure she's in great hands, and make sure that his family life is in order. That's what football can provide for him. A financial means of security. Now, on the other hand, you can look at it and say, this kid, look, there's so many other things that he has to worry about. And football, while it could provide many doors and avenues to this kid, there's other things bigger than football at hand. And really, how much does this mean to him? How much does playing the sport of football really mean to this kid in the grand scheme of things? We shall see. I got a lot of questions, not a lot of answers, okay? As you can tell, not a lot of answers, but a lot of damn questions in the 6th round, 183rd overall selection, offensive lineman out of TCU. Teo Fabulajay is a single. Now, I'm intrigued by him because of his size and because of his mental toughness and the path that was so cloudy and muddy to the NFL, yet he still found his way. I'm intrigued by this kid. I'm rooting for him. Guys like him, you want to see them win at the end. Let's see if he can do that. New coaching staff, new set of guys around him. Let's see if he's able to make the most out of his selection to the Chicago Bears at the next level. I just got a lot of questions, not enough answers, and for that, he's a single in the 6th round. But that's the Bears draft. An impressive one. So impressive so that you're going to find out what this score is here in a second. Let's tally it up. First 2 rounds, back-to-back jacks for the Chicago Bears and Kevin White and Eddie Goldman. So that's 4 plus 4, which is 8. 3 consecutive triples in the middle of this draft in Oronis Gursu, Jeremy Langford, and AA Adrian Amos. So that's a triples bonus on top of the 3 triples. So that is 12 combined with the 8 earlier. You add in a single to finish up the draft, that's 21. You divide it by the 6 selections the Bears had. And don't look now, but the Bears have just leapfrogged everybody else in the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series with their 3.5 triple for the Chicago Bears. The Bears are now in first place as they've had the most impressive draft. Very short, compact draft with a lot of good football players. I think each and every single one of these players are making a roster, and I think 5 out of the 6 immediate impacts they won. That's how good I feel about this Bears draft. You heard it here first. Chicago Bears, 3.5 triple, lands them in first in their 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up. That's going to do it for me here on the program. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we could be all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down everything and anything in the National Football League. Who's next? There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.